In this video, I'm giving y'all the best lockdown and point forward builds in NBA 2K22 Next Gen. But first, if you're looking for somebody to grind your badges, hit up Elite Badge Grinding. They're super fast and 100% legit. Click their links in the description and let them know Hambo sent you. Also, as always, if you could do me a favor, scroll down, smash that big red subscribe button, as well as like the video. That'd be greatly appreciated. Starting things off with the personal build that I've made. For this build, you're going to want to be a small forward, and this is going to be like a tall point forward, almost Kevin Durant type build. Starting things off with the body settings. For the height, you're going to want to bump this up to 6'8". For the weight, you're going to want to drop this down to minimum. This way you are as fast as possible. And then for the wingspan, you're going to want this at 7'1". This way you can have a 92 driving dunk and elite contact dunks. On to the attributes screen. First, for the finishing attributes, you're going to want to max out your driving dunk at a 92. And then you're going to want your driving lay at an 86. And finally, for your close shot, you're going to want this at a 79. Moving on to shooting, you're going to want a max three-pointer and a basically maxed out mid-range at an 87. And then if you do want free throw, I would recommend putting this at a 91. You'll have in total 28 shooting badges. Onto playmaking, you're going to want max ball handling and basically maxed out speed with ball at a 73. And then next, your pass accuracy, you're going to want this at an 86. In total, you'll have 25 playmaking badges. For the defensive/rebounding badges and attributes, you're going to want your perimeter defense at an 86, your steal at an 82, your block at an 83, your offensive rebound at a 74, and your defensive rebound at an 83. Honestly, I don't think anybody can really consistently score on this build. The only downside is that it is a bit slow, but pretty much all its defensive ratings are pretty high with an 86 perimeter defense. And you're also going to be swatting a ton of shots on this build. Moving on to the physicals. First, for your speed, you're going to want to max this out. For acceleration, you're also going to want to max this out. And then for vert, you're going to want this at an 80 and your stamina at a 92. In total, this build has 101 badges, which is crazy. Like, I don't think there's anything that this build is bad at beyond being a little bit on the slower side. But since you are so tall, it more than makes up for it. Like, the movement on this build, as you guys are going to see from the gameplay, is insane. The scoring's insane, and the defense is also crazy. On to the takeovers. Now, I'm not entirely sure what I did, but I'm pretty sure that the first takeover, I went with Limitless, and then for takeover number 2, I went with ankle breaking shots, because breaking ankles on a 6'8 build is just so fun. And as you guys can see, I built a facilitating 3-level two-way, which I guess is a kind of accurate name. I decided to take this build to the 1v1 court to really highlight to you guys the defense and scoring on this build, because honestly, I want to drop all 21 points. Here are the attributes. I don't know why I didn't just max out this player, but I had all the key attributes pretty high up. And then here are the badges. I did have to go with a few weird ones. Finishing's pretty normal. For shooting, I went with max sniper, silver lucky number 7, and silver volume. I didn't go with hot zone hunter since I don't really have all my hot zones yet. And then for catch and shoot, obviously you don't need this on the 1v1 court. I'm using lucky number 7 because a lot of my shots are going to be very early on. And since it's the 1v1 court, I'm also going to be taking a lot of shots, so I volume shooter on as well. And then here's what I'm going with for my playmaking badges. Obviously, I don't need something like bullet passer on. For defensive/rebounding, I'm rocking with silver chase down, which I normally wouldn't do. But on the 1v1 court, pretty much anytime somebody's taking a shot in the paint, it's because they burned you and now they're trying to tank a dunk. And you're really never going to be playing help defense, so chase down artist on the 1v1 court is definitely a must-have badge. For pickpocket, you don't really need it for the 1v1 court, but definitely in other game modes I have it equipped. And then also rebound chaser, you don't really need this for the 1v1 court since most of the rebounds are free. Intimidator, I'm rocking this on bronze. And then clamps is probably the most important badge for the 1v1 court. And then finally, I'm also running rim protector on bronze. As you guys can see, the game starts up and the dude I'm playing against is a way higher level than me. As you guys can see, very first possession of the game, I'm able to show off my defense. He starts with the ball. He wants to take a 2 just to play it safe. He thinks he gets by me, but then chase down artist lights up and I completely swat his shot. I end up missing my first shot. He gets the ball back, hits it green in the corner. So we're not off to the best start in the world. When I do get the ball back, I do a step back, run run to the left, go back to the right, and then get a free wide open dunk. I end up getting a stop, get the ball back, do another just simple crossover, run to the left, and get another dunk. Early on in games, in the 1v1 court especially, they're just willing to give you twos, so I'm just gonna go ahead and take it. I get the ball back again, and he thinks I'm just like a pure inside that can't shoot at all, leaves me wide open. I go ahead and green my first shot of the game. At this point, I have a pretty decent lead, and I'm willing to take twos. I do the same exact move that I did the very first possession of the game, and now I'm up 9-3. He comes back with a nice three, and I'm able to zigzag a little bit left, right, and then get another dunk. On this build, you're unable to get quick chains, so you can't string together a bunch of standstill dribble moves. You can do like the ISO spins and half spins and stuff, but on the 1v1 court, it's just really hard to do anything. And every time I did try to do something, it just ended up getting stopped. Once he does get the ball back, pretty much the same exact exchange happens. He hits another very nice three-pointer, and then I come back and get him jumping and just take the wide open standstill layup. He ends up breaking a shot, so I have a pretty decent lead, and I'm just willing to take twos at this point. But he ends up leaving me super wide open, which I didn't expect. I run to the right and get a wide open green. Very next possession, I tried the exact same move, which I'm not gonna lie was very dumb of me. I should have just shot it off of the step back. Off of my very stupid shot, he gets the rebound, hits a fade in the corner, which makes the score 12-16 and puts him within 4. However, at this point, I'm still very set on twos since my lead is still very massive. Run to the right, get him jumping again, and then just hit a nice little layup. He ends up missing the shot, and I know he's pretty much going to make me shoot a 3 for game. Run to the right, do a step back, do a double crossover, step it back, and hit a white. I'm honestly very fortunate 2K gave me that white, but honestly, I think I would have won anyways. I ended up winning 21-12, but I'm not going to lie, it did feel a lot closer than that. I think this gameplay kind of showcases everything that I need to showcase. This build is super fast and has very good movement at its size. It can shoot extremely consistently if left wide open, and its dunking and defense are both insane. Okay, so moving on to the lockdown build. For this build, again, you're going to want to be small forward. I mean, this is just the position I personally made it at. You could definitely make it a point guard or a shooting guard if you want to. First, for the height, you're going to want to drop this down to 6'5". Your speed and acceleration go up a ton, which is just so worth it. And then once you drop the weight down too, you're gonna be so fast. And then with the weight at basically minimum at 179 pounds, you have a 93 speed, which is kind of crazy. Honestly, the only issue with my previous build is that it is a bit slow on the defensive end, so I couldn't really keep up with the really short guards. So if you are going to be making a lockdown build this year, you're definitely going to want to be like 6'6" or shorter. For the wingspan, I thought about maxing this out, but I actually just decided to leave it at default, since maxing it out doesn't really help out your defense that much anyways. For the finishing attributes, now the focus of this build is not at all dunking. And with the current meta of the game, the priority is taking threes, not twos. Starting things off with the finishing attributes, you're going to want your driving dunk at a, yeah, you guys see. For driving lay, you're going to want this at a 56. And then finally, for the close shot, you're going to want this at a 54. For these shooting attributes, you're going to want your three-pointer at an 80. And then you're also going to want your mid-range at a 73. This build doesn't have like crazy absurd shooting or anything, but pretty much all the shots you're going to be taking is just going to be you sitting in the corner, and it's just going to be a wide open catch and shoot shot. And those you'll definitely be able to more than knock down consistently. For the playmaking attributes, you're going to want your ball handle at an 83, your speed with ball at an 80, and your pass accuracy at a 61. You'll have in total 21 playmaking badges, which is pretty decent. You're never going to be creating your own shot. You're never really going to be ball handling on this build. You do need to be able to move around the court, however, and you don't want to be getting ripped every single possession. So you do need at least kind of a little bit of playmaking. Moving on to the defensive / rebounding badges, which is pretty much the heart of this build. First, for the perimeter defense, you're going to want this at a 97. Then for steal, you're going to want this at a 99, which is just so overpowered. For block, you're going to want this at a 65. For offensive rebound, you're going to want this at a 75. And then for defensive rebound, you're going to want this at a 77. In total, you will have 31 defensive / rebounding badges, which isn't like crazy or anything, but for a perimeter lockdown, you really don't need that many badges. For the physicals, it's very simple. You're going to want max speed, max excel, and then throw everything left onto stamina. You should have a 94 stamina. Besides defense, the second best part of this build is probably its physicals, since you are super fast. You do have a couple ratings. I would just recommend throwing it on free throw. There's not much you can really do with it. This build has only 81 badges total, which isn't crazy or anything. However, it really is just like a specialist build. It has really good defense, and then everything else is mediocre to below average. But if you want more of an all-around build, it'll be right after this build. For the takeovers, now in my opinion, Extreme Clamps is the best lockdown takeover. So honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and double up on this. As you guys can see, I built a two-way tempo pusher. I don't know if this is a rare name. Let me know if it is down below in the comment section. So just hopping right into the next build on this list is going to be an all-around build. For the position, you're going to want to make him a small forward, but definitely you could make him a point guard or even a shooting guard if you want to. Onto the body settings. Now for the height, I would recommend going with 6'6". As I said, this build is going to be kind of a mix of the two builds I've showed you guys so far. For the weight, of course, you need to drop this down to minimum to maximize the speed and acceleration that you can get. And then for the wingspan, after a little bit of thought, I recommend going with 6'10". On to the finishing attributes. First, for the driving dunk, you're going to want this at a 92. As I said, that is the cutoff for elite contact dunks. For driving lay, you're going to want this at a 73. And then for close shot, you're going to want this at a 59. For these shooting attributes, you're going to want your three-pointer max at an 87. And then for your mid-range, you're going to want this at a 78. Going down to the playmaking attributes, you're going to want your ball handle at an 85. You will get pro dribble moves. For speed with ball, you're going to want this at an 83. And then next, for close shot, you're going to want this at a 73. For the defensive / rebounding attributes, first for the perimeter defense, you're going to want this at an 89. For the steal, you're going to want this at an 84. For the block, you're going to want this at a 70. And then finally, for the defensive rebound, you're going to want this at a 75. And then finally, for the physical attributes, first, for the speed and acceleration, you're going to want both of those maxed out. And then for the vert, you're going to want this at an 80 to get elite contact dunks. And then finally, for stamina, you're going to want this at an 86. This build has 92 badges total, which is pretty good. This is kind of a mixture of the two builds. It's going to move more like the second lockdown build. And it's definitely still going to be a very good perimeter defender that can move very well. But at the same time, it's going to have the scoring of the very first build that I showed you guys. If you want free throw on this build, honestly, I'd recommend dropping down your speed. If you drop this all the way down to an 84, you can get max free throw, which is kind of overkill. You can honestly drop this down as much or as little as you want to. I would recommend putting this at an 86. This way, you can have an 87 free throw and also an 87 stamina. For the first takeover on this build, I'm going to go with Limitless Range. And then for takeover number 2, you could go with Extreme Clamps, but I'm just going to go with Limitless Range again. As you guys can see, I built a two-way inside-out scorer, which does kind of make sense as a name. If you haven't made it this far into the video, congratulations, you are a real one. Let me know that you are down below in the comment section. If you want the best point guard build, it's on the screen right now. Go follow me on Twitter and I'm out. Peace.